Thank you,
Speak and reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think the Honourable Minister for Health and Honourable Minister Ustamate and other speakers have also touched upon the necessity to have this. But just to clarify a couple of points, just because, I think somebody raised from the other side, just because they may be paying for the quarantine costs, it does not mean that they get to have the final say in where that quarantine or that station will be. It has to be assessed by the Ministry of Health itself. And there has to be all the various safeguards put in place and must be within the COVID-19 Fijian Economic Recovery Framework. Again, the issue of yachts has come up. Honourable Kepa has raised it again. And again, it has been highlighted by the Minister for Health that the yachts come in, they don't simply just come into Fijian waters and can sail anywhere. They have to serve the quarantine period. In the same way, if a returning Fijian comes to Fiji, they have to serve the quarantine period and then they can wander around Fiji. It's the same, they're both human beings, even though they're foreigners and one is Fijian, they both have to serve the quarantine period. So therefore, the risks are all assessed before they're actually allowed to go to other parts of Fiji. So that risk is actually minimized. Mr. Speaker, sir, the remittances, Honourable Kepa, remittances obviously comes from lots of people. It's not just those in the BKB. But the reality of the matter is that you have to be a Fijian citizen for you to be given preference in respect of you coming back. Of course, those people who are related to Fijian citizens and have not chosen to take Fijian citizenship, and if they are underage, they of course can. They have the full right to do so. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other point I wanted to also highlight is that I think the issue about India has been raised a couple of times now. These people who have been accepted from India, and recent ones, have actually been Fijian citizens who actually went to India for surgery. We can't leave them. They are Fijian citizens. Unfortunately, this did not happen with the Samoan government a few months back. They in fact did not allow the citizens to come back. And some of them were in fact stranded in Nandi. And we actually had to look after them, those Samoans. They went to Samoa, they waved to their relatives through the glass windows, and then they said, no, you go back to wherever you came from. The next port that they came from was actually Nandi. So we actually had to look after them. We don't want to do the same with our citizens. So that's the position we've taken. Obviously, when they come back, a lot of these people have been through, traumatic medical procedure, and we can't abandon them. And they do their test before they come on, and there's various safeguards been put in place. Mr. Speaker, sir, just very quickly, Mr. Speaker, sir, you may not remember this, but you actually had alluded to us at one gathering that some relative of yours is also doing the catering for the people in the quarantine. They get fed really well. They actually get fed, desserts, etc. So these are the Fijian citizens, and they're not paying for it. We have to pick up the tab for it. It's now run into millions of dollars. The other point that I want to also make is that going forward, the Care Fiji app, I'm glad the NFP members are here. We talked about the Care Fiji app. It is critically essential to have the Care Fiji app. It's not a political issue. It's a health issue. And I'm really glad that a lot of the members of the opposition, Sodalpa I mean, actually have the app now. And I want to thank you for that. Because you are also, of course, leaders in your community. When you do go back out, you'll be telling people the virtues of actually having this app and how critically important it is, because it saves lives. The last point I want to make, very quickly, all of this is changing quite, phenomenally on a daily basis. There's a country now, I think one of the South American countries, one of the islands, they're actually allowing tourists to come back only if you've actually had COVID-19. If you had COVID-19, you've been cleared from it, then you can go to that island only. So they want to build the, what do you call the immunity? The herd immunity. They call it the herd immunity. They want to build the herd immunity. There's an island in Spain where it's got its own airport, and the Spaniards actually allowing Germans to have direct flights from Germany, go straight to the island, do their holiday, and then go back. So they're obviously also trying to mitigate the risks arising from the economic impact of this pandemic. So we will have to be able to be creative, but also at the same time, utmost priority, of course, is our health risks. And this bill, of course, goes towards us, in fact, the overall strategy in managing those risks, including the financial risks. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Honourable Attorney General. Honourable members, the Parliament will now vote. The question is, pursuant to resolution of Parliament on Monday, 31st August 2020, that the Public Health Amendment number 2, Bill 2020, be debated, voted upon and be passed. Does any member oppose the motion? No. As no member opposes, the motion is agreed to unanimously. Secretary General.